down all over the ground like our old friend, the human foxhound. Perhaps you'll meet him in Paris, I said, knowing that he referred to a certain Giraud, one of the most trusted detectives of the Surtec, whom he had met on a previous occasion. Perrault made a grimace. I devoutly hope not. He loved me not, that one. Won't it be a very difficult task, I asked, to find out what an unknown Englishman did on an evening 2 months ago? Very difficult, mon ami, but, as you know well, difficulties rejoice the heart of Hercule Poirot. You think the Big Four kidnapped him? Poirot nodded. Our inquiries necessarily went over old ground, and we learned little to add to what Mrs. Halliday had already told us. Poirot had a lengthy interview with Professor Bourgneau, during which he sought to elicit whether Halliday had mentioned any plan of his own for the evening, but we drew a complete blank. Our next source of information was the famous Madame Olivier. I was quite excited as we mounted the steps of her villa at Passy. It has always seemed to me extraordinary that a woman should go so far in the scientific world. I should have thought a purely masculine brain was needed for such work. The door was opened by a young lad of 17 or thereabouts, who reminded me vaguely of an acolyte, so ritualistic was his manner. Poirot had taken the trouble to arrange our interview beforehand, as he knew Madame Olivier never received anyone without an appointment, being immersed in research work most of the day. We were shown into a small salon, and presently the mistress of the house came to us there. Madame Olivier was a very tall woman, her tallness accentuated by the long white overall she wore, and a coif like a nun's that shrouded her head. She had a long, pale face and wonderful dark eyes that burnt with a light almost fanatical. She looked more like a priestess of old than a modern French woman. One cheek was disfigured by a scar, and I remembered that her husband and co-worker had been killed in an explosion in the laboratory 3 years before, and that she herself had been terribly burned. Ever since then, she had shut herself away from the world and plunged with fiery energy into the work of scientific research. She received us with cold politeness. I have been interviewed by the police many times, messieurs. I think it hardly likely that I can help you, since I have not been able to help them. Madame, it is possible that I shall not ask you quite the same questions. To begin with, of what did you talk together, you and Emma Halliday? She looked a trifle surprised, but of his work, and also mine. Did he mention to you the theories he had embodied recently? his plans for the evening. He said nothing whatever, monsieur. I thank you, madame, and I apologize for disturbing you. Pray do not trouble. We can find our way out. We stepped out into the hall. A lady was just entering the front door as we did so. She ran quickly up the stairs, and I was left with an impression of the heavy mourning that denotes a French widow. A most unusual type of woman that, remarked Perrault as we walked away. Madame Olivier. Yes, she. Mais no, not Madame Olivier. Cela va sans dire. There are not many geniuses of her stamp in the world. No, I refer to the other lady, the lady on the stairs. I didn't see her face, I said, staring, and I hardly see how you could have done. She never looked at us. That is why I said she was an unusual type, said Perrault placidly, a woman who enters her home, for I presume that it is her home, since she enters with a key, and runs straight upstairs without even looking at two strange visitors in the hall to see who they are, is a very unusual type of woman, quite unnatural, in fact. Mille tonnerre, what is that? He dragged me back just in time. A tree had crashed down onto the sidewalk, just missing us. Perrault stared at it, pale and upset. It was a near thing that, but clumsy all the same, for I had no suspicion, at least hardly any suspicion. Yes, but for my quick eyes, the eyes of a cat, Hercule Poirot might now be crushed out of existence, a terrible calamity for the world, and you too, mon ami, though that would not be such a national catastrophe. Thank you, I said coldly. And what are we going to do now? Do, cried Perrault. We are going to think. Yes, here and now. We are going to exercise our little gray cells. This M. Halliday now. Was he really in Paris? Yes, for Professor Bourgogne, who knows him, saw and spoke to him. What on earth are you driving at? I cried. That was Friday morning. He was last seen at 11 Friday night. But was he seen then? The porter, a night porter who had not previously seen Halliday. A man comes in, sufficiently like Halliday. We may trust number 4 for that. Asks for letters, goes upstairs, packs a small suitcase, and slips out the next morning. Nobody saw Halliday all that evening. No, because he was already in the hands of his enemies. Was it Halliday whom Madame Olivier received? Yes, for though she did not know him by sight, an impostor could hardly deceive her on her own special subject. He came here, he had his interview, he left. What happened next? Seizing me by the arm, Perrault was fairly dragging me back to the villa. Now, mon ami, imagine that it is the day after the disappearance, and that we are tracking footprints. You love footprints, do you not? See, here they go, a man's, Mr. Halliday's. He turns to the right as we did. He walks briskly. Ah, other robbery in London. As soon as I caught sight of you in the hall, I feared the worst, she observed plaintively. My dear Countess Rosikoff. She shook her head. Inez Verano now, she murmured. A Spaniard, married to a Frenchman. What do you want to me, Emperor? You are a terrible man. You hunted me from London. Now I suppose you will tell our wonderful Madame Olivier about me and hunt me from Paris. We poor Russians, we must live, you know. It is more serious than that, madame, said Perrault, watching her. I propose to enter the villa next door and release M. Halliday, if he is still alive. I know everything, you see. I saw her sudden pallor. She bit her lip. Then she spoke with her usual decision. He is still alive, but he is not at the villa. Come, monsieur, I will make a bargain with you. Freedom for me, and M. Halliday alive and well for you. I accept, said Perrault. I was about to propose the same bargain myself. By the way, are the big four your employers, madame? Again I saw that deathly pallor creep over her face, but she left this question unanswered. Instead,